Jdm Car Tier Lists. If you've been on YouTube in the past 2 weeks, you've probably seen it. Everyone's doing these tier lists for everything, like food. That's all I got. But anyway, it's a big thing, I promise. So everyone's doing these tier list things, and I thought, why not do one for JDM cars? Basically how it works is you rank the cars that you can see here at the bottom in these different ranks, S being the best, F being the worst. And I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do. There's nothing really going on with the car this week, so this gives me a video. So without further ado, let's get started. I also just want to say before starting this video that I don't hate any of these cars. They're all sick. They're all super nice. They're all like JDM legend cars. The only thing with the tier list is it's my opinion. I have to put some better than the other. That doesn't mean the ones I put at the bottom I like all of these cars. I'm saying it up front. There's just some that are ranking a little higher in this tier list than others that will be. Disclaimer. In no particular order, we're going to just start from left to right here and talk about the cars a bit. So starting off here, we have the Nissan 350Z. So this car actually I really do like personally. I know I have like 2 friends that have one as well, so I've seen what they look like built, and there's a lot of good looking ones on Insta that people have really built well. I know that people do like to race them. I know they can get some power if they're tuned right and everything like that. So I'm going to say it's like a mid-tier car. I'm going to put it to start us off in the B tier. 1 down, 19 to go. I think it's 20. Moving on. Number 2, the Honda S2000. So this car is actually pretty similar to the 350Z, I think, in terms of looks. And I like the way the 350Z looks, so I'm going to like the way the S2000 looks. It's just the way it is. Again, people compare this one a lot with the Miata as well. But I think it actually stands a little bit above that. Just gives it that, it has that a bit more that street style look, especially if like they're customized well and tuned up well. And I think it's a cool car. Again, I do think there's some better ones. There's definitely some I like a little more than that. So for now, I think it's also gonna join the 350Z here in the B tier. Now, up next is the Mitsubishi Evo X. So the Evo 10. So this one I have mixed feelings about. There's one I really like, which is Devin Yamella's Evo X. I've talked about him on the channel before. I'm sure you guys know who that is if you're in the car YouTube community. His I really do like, but other than that, there's just something about it when it's not customized well or like built to look good. I think it just looks like a boring like family sedan. I know it also doesn't get the best power initially, but it has that potential again when tuned. But it is not one of my favorites on this list. So for that reason, I'm going to throw it down on the D tier. Again, I don't hate any of these cars. I got to put something at the bottom, you know? Up next is the Nissan R33 GTR. Now, out of all the GTRs, this one seems for some reason to get the like worst rap. Like people don't like this one. They like the R32, the R34, and of course the new R35. But people seem to forget. Oh my god. People seem to forget about the R33, you know? I think it's a cool one. I think it's definitely underrated, and if I were to be able to get one, I'd get that one just because it's also a little bit more affordable than some of the other ones. But for me, that one is going to join the Nissan 350Z and the Honda S2000 in the B tier. Got a lot of B here at first, apparently. Up next is the Evo 8, so the Mitsubishi Evo 8. Now, this one, again, I'm a big fan of, much more so than the Evo 10. I have 3 Evos on this list. I have the Evo 8, 9, and 10. I'll get to 9 after this one because it's up next on the list. I can already see it. For me, personally, out of all the 3, this one strikes me as the most rally-like car that Mitsubishi has made. It really looks more like a dirt drifter than a street racer to me, especially when you see how people have built it in the past. So I'm a big fan of this one. I'm going to put it at C tier, and that'll be that. Moving on to the Evo 9s. I'm a very big fan of the Evo 9, and I've seen what some people have done with them, and it's a great looking car. It's super racy, I think. especially those headlights, those big, like, aggressive, sharp-looking headlights. I'm a big fan of those. I know it also gets decent power. And out of the 3 Evos on this list, the 8, 9, and 10, I have to say Evo 9 has to be my favorite. And I'm going to go put that up there on the A tier. Let's see if it stays that way. Coming up next is the Bug-Eye STI. So, again, just like the Evos, a lot of the STIs are going to be on here. I have the Bug-Eye STI, the Hawkeye, and the Blob-Eye. I should drink some water before I recorded this. I really like the Bug-Eye. Again, I think out of the 3, it's a really underrated car. That front end looks super aggressive. Way people have built it, when you make that aggressive front end super low with a big splitter on it, I think it looks awesome. Throw a big wing on it, I don't care. Out of the 3, I think it's probably my favorite. I'm going to be putting that up in the A tier with the Evo 9. I know, big shocker. Now, this one might get a couple people pissed off. The Subaru BRZ / Scion FRS Toyota 86, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same car, basically. Is probably like one of the most popular cars to build these days, especially in the past 4 or 5 years. I like it. I think it's a cool car, but I've seen so much of it, it's almost like killed it for me. Again, it's still a super sick car. Lots of people have really nice built ones. Dustin Williams has a built BRZ. Devin, again, he's got the Scion FRS, which he built and then turned into a fucking Hot Wheel, and now he's gonna build again after he destroyed it, which I love. So for me, especially stock, it really doesn't do anything for me. A lot of people complained about the horsepower that came with this car, and the defenders of it always say it's not about the power on the car, it's about the way it drives, because people love the feel of it. For me, it really just, it's not enough, you know, it doesn't do it for me, and I'm going to be putting it there on the D list, right next to the Evo 10. So, my favorite YouTuber, Devin Numella, both of the cars he owns are in the D tier right now. I'm sorry, it's not your personal cars, I promise. Your cars are sick, but stock, can't do it. I don't know. Now, we have a big one, the R34 GTR. This is probably the most popular. This, alongside the Supra, are probably the 2 most popular cars in the JDM community, I'd say. It has insane power, insane tunability. Like, the things you can do with the engine and stuff are absolutely nuts. The look is iconic. That front end with the little GTR wing on the back, like, everyone knows that. The colors it comes in, the blue, the whites, they're all sick. Black, like gunmetal gray. And obviously the Fast and Furious movies really like catapulted that car into popularity. And I'm no different. I love it just like everybody else. And I think that is going to have to go in the S tier, because that is just one of the nicest like cars out there today. Moving on, the R35 GTR. So again, this one's a little bit controversial because people don't know how to feel about it sometimes. I personally really do like the look. Some people are a little iffy on it. For me, I think it's not as nice as the R34, but I'd have to probably put it in 2nd or 3rd place, maybe close to the R32, which is also one I'm a big fan of. Again, I'm a little biased personally towards the R33, but not everybody is. But again, it's a super nice car. People have done really cool things with it, and yeah, nothing more to say about that one. I'm going to put that one, I think, in the B tier as well. You're going to kind of see a theme with this little list. It's going to have kind of like a deviation, like in the middle. It's going to be heavy in the B's. You only have one C, but whatever. Up next, another big one is the Mazda RX-7. So I am a huge fan of this car. If I could afford one, I'd buy one. I think they're pretty rare these days. You don't see a lot of YouTubers with them. You don't see a lot on the road. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen one on the road, or like in person, which is kind of bad if you think about it. I should get on that. But it's a super cool car. I love the way it looks when it's built. I was a huge fan of, I forget the body kit that it had on in Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, I think it was. When I was a kid, I loved that car. I thought it was super cool, even though it maybe look a little ricey today. But it's like legendary. And I'm a big fan of that car. and I'm putting it in the A tier, where it belongs. Next, the R32 GTR. So again, this is what I mentioned before. Lots of nice ones on YouTube. People love to build these ones. You see them everywhere. Dustin Williams has one. I could name a bunch of people. Again, I don't know about you guys. I think they're a little bit overdone. I can't argue that they're super nice, and I do really like them. I'm definitely not putting it at the bottom of the list because that'd just be disrespectful, especially to this like Godzilla of a car. People love it. And I'm going to have to put it in the A tier as well. Yeah.
Now,
if I had to pick one car I liked the least on this list, I think we just got to it. And it's the Mazda Miata. So, again, nothing against Miata drivers. And I have seen some super cool Miata builds. But for me personally, I don't know what it is. I just don't like the look of tiny cars. They're a little too go-karty for me, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but for my style, I don't know, it doesn't suit me. Again, it's just my opinion. Feel free to rip me apart in the comments. I'm sure we'll get some. But I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Power-wise, everything, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. So I'm going to have to put this car in the F tier. It is definitely not the worst car in the world. Again, like I said at the beginning of this video, there isn't a single car in here I don't like. I just have to put some above the other, you know? And so this one is going to have to bite the bullet and take the bottom spot. Now, we have another legend up next, which is the Toyota Supra MK4. This is an insane car. I don't think it needs any introduction. You guys know what it looks like. You guys know the builds that people have done with it. It is absolutely sick. I love it. Again, another car I wish to have one day. Just the style, I don't know, everything. Even stock, it looks good. If I could change one thing, the first thing I would do to that car would be change out the front bumper to have something a little more aggressive. But other than that, it's almost a perfect car stock. And just seeing what people have done with it is even cooler. So this car, I think, is going to have to go up top on the list in the S tier with the R34. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left to go. Coming up next is the Hawkeye STI. Again, a nice car, a little bit newer than some of the ones on this list. I'm a big fan of it, but it doesn't do anything special for me. There have been some really nice builds of this one, even if it's just the WRX, like Alexander Vargas has a good one. But I'm not the biggest fan of them. If I could pick, I would pick, what I'm trying to say is I would pick other cars on this list over this one if I had the choice. But nothing to complain about. It's got a good style. It's got an aggressive front look. I like everything about it. But, again, doesn't do anything for me extreme that makes me excited or anything like that. I'm going to put this one in the C tier with the Evo 8. Now, one of my favorite cars ever, which is the Honda NSX, or Acura NSX, whichever one you want. They are super cool cars. It's like Japan took a Ferrari and turned it into their own thing. And it's got the nickname the Ferrari Killer, just like the Supra has as well. And it has personally been one of my favorite cars, one that I'd love to own one day. I've liked this car even before I got my first car and stuff like that, like in racing video games and stuff like that. If I ever had the option, I'd take this car. Sean Stees probably has my favorite build on Instagram or YouTube. Make sure you guys look him up. He's got the Midnight Purple NSX, which is absolutely insane. I love it. And I hope to be able to see, drive, or own one day. So this one is a little bit of a biased opinion, but I'm going to put it in the top 3 S tier alongside the GTR and the Supra. I think it definitely has a spot up there. Now, another one that is a super legendary car that people love to tune and build that I'm not a huge fan of is the Honda Civic here. This one, I think it's a 96. Again, doesn't really do anything for me. I know why people like the look of it, and because it's a relatively cheap car, a lot of guys have access to it. But that also means that a lot of racers and like people that just don't know what they're doing have access to this car. And I've seen a lot of botched Honda Civics, and it kind of ruined the image for me. So for that reason, I'm throwing him in the D tier. 4 to go. Moving along here, we have the new Honda Civic Type R. Still not great to me. Again, I've seen a couple nice builds for it, but I think it comes in such a like street style form stock that there's only so much you can do with it, and it doesn't stand out to me. I think it's nice seeing them in person and stuff like that, but personally not one of my favorites, and I'm just gonna get rid of that one real quick, and I'm gonna throw it in the D tier alongside those. Now, another personal favorite of mine. If I had to pick my top 3 cars on this list, it'd be the NSX, probably the R34 GTR, or maybe the RX-7, and then this car, the Nissan Silvia S15. It's an absolute monster of a car. You can get power out of it, but for me, it's all about the look. I love that, like, CUDA shark kind of front end it has. Smooth lines along the side. Absolutely insane car. Wide body with the Rocket Bunny kit. That is an absolute dream of mine. That would be such a cool car to own. All this stuff I hope I can achieve one day, and I'm really working towards. So it is one of my favorite cars, and I'm going to put it up there in the A tier alongside these because it's definitely one of the top. Now, the Toyota Trueno, or Trueno, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is another super legendary car in the car community. I personally don't know a lot about it, but I've seen lots of videos, and especially in Japan, this car is crazy popular. People love this car. It's in everything from like animes to like street events. You see them everywhere. There's like the Toyota Trueno gangs in Japan where they just drive that car and stuff like that. So I can't deny its popularity. It's my own fault. I don't know enough about it to really be a huge fan of it. But having said that, nothing against it. So I'm putting it right in the middle of the pack. Again, my opinion. Don't know enough about it to put it any higher or lower. So it's going to finish the spot in the B tier. Now, last but not least, we have the Blob Eye STI. Again, this one I like a lot as well. I find it really cool car. The front end's nice. I say that about a lot of things. Front end's nice. But it's true. And I like the headlights on it. Again, lots of nice builds on Instagram. It is a little more street style than the other STIs, I think. A lot of those are very much rally style cars. Like the Bug Eye, I think, is a super rally style car. But I like the Blob Eye, and I like what people are able to do with it. And the Subaru STIs usually get quite a bit of power, and they're good all year. And me being from Canada, being able to like drift that in the winter or something like that would be super fun. So that's the way I kind of think about these things. So I'm going to finish it off, putting that in the B tier, ending our tier list here with a bang. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this tier list. Let me know what you agree with, what you don't. I'm sure if we get some comments, there'll be a heated argument, but let's keep it civil, you know. Again, it's just my opinion. Don't hate me. We're all bros. Don't worry. And hope you enjoyed. Lots of stuff coming to my M5 in the next couple videos, especially in these 2 weeks. 3 weeks from now, my car is going to look completely different than what it did before. So guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video. As always, thank you.